Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us here today. I am super excited to be here today with the radiant Aubrey Svedin. Aubrey is one of our powerful speakers at the New Earth Ascension Summit 2025, Embodied Leadership for the Galactic Age. And we have some wonderful things in store for you today. We're diving into how astrology impacts the chakra system and how you can use that connection to heal and strengthen yourself. She will explore some tools like SRT, which she does with her clients, and the Emotion Code, and show us how they tie into this energetic blueprint we have. Also, I invite you to stick around because Aubrey is going to be guiding us through a live belief clearing together using SRT that everyone watching can benefit from. I love doing this with my speakers because I get to be on the receiving end of all the yummy good healing that they provide. And I love bringing that to my audience as well. And just before we jump into the interview part here, I want to let people know that this is what we do in the New Earth Ascension Summit, that it's important for me that it's very experiential so that you leave feeling not just good and high vibe, but fully transformed as well. And Aubrey is here to do that for us. So Aubrey, welcome, and please share with us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Shelli. Yes, I am Aubrey Svedin, and I am a certified light field astrologer, emotion code practitioner, and subconscious release technique coach. My business is actually celestial mindset coaching. So I work with all of my clients one-on-one. When I am working one-on-one, I actually have both recorded classes that you can purchase, and then I have one-on-one coaching services. And when I'm working with them one-on-one, I utilize all aspects of my knowledge, which is astrology, which is your divine blueprint. Then we step into the mindset of who you believe you are and where your sabotaging beliefs lay, and we focus on who you want to become. And I utilize emotion code to clear anything that is trapped within that energetic body. Astrology is a blueprint. If we are looking at like how we build a house, we have a flat piece of paper that is a blueprint. It is literally just a piece of paper. The house is 3D and dimensional. There's levels, there's floors, there's rooms. And not only is the house built to have all of these rooms, you get to decide what you put on the walls. You get to decide how many levels you want within this blueprint. If you want three levels and a basement. If you have a lot of Scorpio energy, you have like six houses and they're all secretive. You don't tell anybody about all those houses, and you have a lot of basements, things like that. So you get to really choose what you decorate your house with. Astrology isn't fate. It is awareness of a flat piece of paper that you get to choose how to build your life from. And so when I'm working with my clients, we talk about where they are in life, what they desire to have, and then we look at what's easy for them to build from what is naturally gifted. When I was a child, I had a friend who was naturally gifted in art, and my chart like doesn't naturally give me art. Like when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't see art in here, but she was so gifted. And that was just a natural gift from her childhood, and I wanted to be like her. And throughout my life, I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And I'm halfway decent now today. If I were to pull out a painting, I think I could do a good job because I've practiced and I've put that into my life. But it's not something that was naturally gifted to me. But because I wanted it, I chose to implement it. With astrology, we look at what's naturally gifted to you, and then we look at what you want, and we find the easiest way to bring that into your life with the blueprint that you've been given. And then we decorate one of these beautiful rooms of your life with what you desire to have in there. And if it's not what you desire, we release what is already in there and we renovate your soul.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, I love that. I love that analogy. And yes, it is time for us to choose into the easy way of doing things, right?
Yes.
Letting go of the hustle and the difficulty and doing things the hard way. And yes, I love That feels so good to I think all of us with our nervous systems, we're looking for that easy, comfortable path opening up to
Mhm.
us. So I
Yeah.
love that you provide that for your clients. Now, you're going to be talking in the New Earth Ascension Summit, you're going to be talking about the seven chakras and how they relate to astrology, which absolutely fascinates me. So I'm super excited to hear about your topic.
Yeah.
Please tell me how you made that connection. How did you recognize that astrology directly affects your chakra system?
Oh my goodness. So when I was first a coach, I just utilized Emotion Code. And I was working with clients one-on-one, and we were just clearing trapped emotions within each chakra system. So I had like an 8 session package. We did 7 chakras, and then we did an overall body session. But I was learning astrology at that same time. And one week, Mercury goes retrograde because he does that like 3 times, 4 times a year. And
Right.
so Mercury went retrograde. And in my astrology class, we had this huge conversation about it. And then that was like on a Monday or a Tuesday, I don't remember. But I started working with my clients that week after Mercury went retrograde. And all of my clients' throat chakras was out of alignment, and I'm like, I had to backpedal on some of them. We had to look at their throat chakra, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a mess. And then it hit me. I'm like, well, Mercury went retrograde. All of your throat chakras are out of alignment. Let's check into that. Like, why did that happen? Does Mercury connect to the throat chakra? Does it have the same frequency? And I sat down, I prayed, I meditated, I asked my higher power what that meant. And I got a very clear, yeah, your throat chakra and Mercury have that same frequency. Mercury is the ruler of the throat chakra. And then I was like, okay, so if Mercury rules the throat chakra, let's look at these other chakra centers. What rules them? And it was, I sat down, I would journal about it in my free time. It was always on my mind. So I'm a manifester in the human design
Right.
modality. And manifestors, one of our gifts is to create and like to see that which is already out there. Like we just tap into the wires of the energies and like we just create it. And this was before I really understood my manifestor gift. Like I was learning about human design at the same time as astrology, but I was diving into astrology, not the human design portion. And so like my manifestor gift was picking up on all of these invisible wires and just creating. I was really flushing out this knowledge that is universal. And it is already out there, but I was creating something with it. And I was able to see all 7 chakras, the planets that rest within each one. My favorite one, well, for some reason it's my favorite, is the third eye because there's 3 planets that sit in the third eye. Uh,
Okay.
and every other chakra system only has one. I thought it was so cool. 3 planets, third eye, the number 3. That's awesome. But we get to the point where I've got all of the chakra centers, the planets connected with them, and Saturn doesn't have a home. And I'm all like, where does Saturn go? And Saturn actually flows through your chakra system. So the first year of your life, you're separating your energy from your mother's energy. So you were obviously in the womb for, 7 to 9 months, hopefully at least 7. Some of you may have been preemies and born early, but you were within your mother's energetic body. And then you're hopefully maybe breastfeeding and you're just really connected to your mother about that first year. Your energy is made to be a part of your mom's frequency.
Right.
But during that first year, we're separating and we are becoming our own individual person. And at about year 1, when you turn 1 years old, you begin to create your own energetic body. And Saturn is the planet of foundations, boundaries. He's the planet of lessons, karma, the law of the harvest.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's like, let's create a boundary in your root chakra. Or let's create a boundary in your sacral chakra at year 2. In year 3, it's your solar plexus. In year 4, it's your heart. 5's throat, 6 is third eye, and 7th is your crown chakra. And so Saturn flows through the chakra system on a 7-year cycle. 8 goes back to the root, 9 is sacral, and so forth. In the presentation I'm doing for the New Earth Leadership Summit, I have a graph that I will show you guys to help you see and visualize this 7 year cycle. And I also have a freebie that dives into this. So I don't dive into it in the presentation in the summit, but if you do come to the summit, you'll have access to all of the depth of this knowledge.
Oh,
Uh,
I love it. I
yes.
absolutely love it. That is incredibly powerful and super exciting, and I can't wait to dive into that. Once our audience gets this information, how can we heal or strengthen ourselves with this understanding? How does this help us on a practical level?
Yeah, I remember asking God, like, why do I want to know this knowledge? Like, what
Yeah.
is the practicality of it? And a lot of it has to do with me when I'm working with clients, I'm healing their belief system. This is not the only way to use this knowledge, but this is how I use it. Is we come up with the years that big T traumas, little T traumas, belief systems are created, and it's easier to find where in their energetic body they hold that wound, and then we can heal that chakra center. We can heal that wound there. If we're dealing with a lot of throat chakra issues, I will pull up the chart with my clients and I'll be like, hey, these are the years that your throat chakra was very active and the boundaries and structure was being created there. There must be a crack that we need to focus on, a belief system connected to that crack. And we focus on healing that crack in that area because that's what Saturn does. He builds walls and boundaries, which is super important. He's like the house structure that you're building. And if you have a crack in the wall, you're not going to be able to function properly. You're going to be able to see into the other room if there's a big hole in your wall, and you're going to see your neighbors. Sometimes you don't want to see your neighbors when there's a hole in the wall. You're like, you got to put a band-aid on it, and band-aids don't normally work. And so we renovate,
Yes.
fix those wounds. And then when I'm looking at the 7 layers of leadership with it, when we come into self-trust in every aspect of who we are, which is our chakra systems, they play a role in every single part of our life. And so if we tear down our chakra systems, it's like literally seven, our life is put into 7 areas, and we get to see these 7 areas, and we get to step into that moment of those 7 areas. And so I'm 36. My root chakra is being structured this year. I'm working on it. I'm building more layers to it. I'm coming to understand my foundation, my safety, the roots, my ancestral in a very foundational way. I'm coming to understand that root chakra energy. And so this year, I've been focusing on that area of my life. Now, when I'm 37, I will focus on my sacral chakra. I remember when I was 29, I think I was 29 was when I was in my throat chakra. There was a lot of healing done when I did a lot of focusing on my throat chakra. And with Chiron in astrology, Chiron is the soul wound, and Chiron sits in Mercury, not Mercury, he's conjunct Mercury, like 1 degree from my Mercury, which means my soul wound really deals with my throat chakra.
Mm.
And that year that I was like that first time I was aware that I was in my throat chakra energy, it was magnificent because I was compassionate. I was aware. I was able to take intentional action with that knowledge and focus only on this area and give the rest to God. Because if we're trying to focus on everything, that's overwhelming. It'll, especially with a manifester energy, I get burnt out so easy. And so it's just, I get to focus exactly where my energy is being structured and give the rest up and live in the present moment.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. And yes, I'm glad that you brought up this idea of leadership because you're giving us a beautiful overview right now of how this works. And I love that in the New Earth Ascension Summit, you're going to be focusing more specifically on how to use this to amplify your leadership. And so we're super excited to be able to hear about that. And so, along with that, you mentioned that you started with Emotion Code and SRT. Remind me, SRT is
It's the subconscious release technique.
okay.
Um,
Okay. And how do you combine these two? What relationship does SRT and Emotion Code have with astrology and the chakras? And again, as a manifestor, I just love how I'm a manifesting generator, so I have a degree of this as well, where you pull all the different pieces together to create something beautiful and unified. So tell us about that relationship.
So when I'm working with a client, we begin by just by figuring out who they are. So with astrology, it gives us a foundation of, hey, I see astrology with light aspects and shadow aspects, light traits and shadow traits. Person like, are you sitting in love or are you sitting in hate? Gemini energy, one of our light traits is we can communicate very well. We are very friendly. We invite everybody in and we can keep a conversation going. That's such a light trait. The shadow trait is gossiping. And am I gossiping? And what are my intentions behind me saying what I'm saying? Like my shadow, I have a history of gossiping and I have a history of not watching what I'm saying. And I just blurt things out and it hurts people's feelings. So that's a shadow trait. And so when I'm working with my clients, I discuss light traits, shadow traits, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm chilling in these shadow traits." We talk about the beliefs that are connected to those shadow traits. Like why do they believe about like what do they believe about themselves because they gossip? And then we focus on those beliefs, which is where SRT comes in, which is no one likes me. No one likes me because I gossip. Something like that. And that's a belief system that is ingrained from my childhood. No one likes me because I talk too much. And so then I clear that belief, no one likes me, which is connected to emotions. Beliefs become ingrained in our physical body when even our nervous system, not just our mind, we do have neural pathways that these beliefs are connected to, but it's like our nervous system is also connected to them. But what I do with SRT is I see it's like we're snipping the emotions connected to that belief. The emotion is what keeps that belief activated in our physical body. And so with like no one likes me, I breathe in and I release the belief by saying or thinking, I release all anxiety with no one likes me because I talk too much. And then I breathe it out. And how I see it is like any anxiety connected to that belief is like snipped. And then it's like, well, I guess that's one emotion less connected to that belief system. Sometimes we have what's called a trapped emotion, which is when I use emotion code, because this trapped emotion is so vibrant and so powerful, it stops us from finding the beliefs. Sometimes we just don't know how to step into our energetic body and to find the belief that is keeping us stuck. And so I use emotion code, I pull up one emotion, we clear it, and then I ask, what did that bring up for you? And then all of a sudden, it's amazing when my clients just begin, like, after one emotion release, they're like, well, this, it brought up this story. And then we ask about the beliefs connected to that story. And it's just a different direction I can come to working on with my client in changing their mindset. Either I come through astrology or I come through emotion code or all of it gets combined, but it all works together.
I love that. I love that. And as I'm doing these interviews with our speakers, I'm seeing so many different modalities, and I love that for us. That there are so many different ways to heal and so many different ways to unearth these beliefs and to shift us and to help us with that. And I feel like that's a really big part of New Earth leadership is finding your zone of genius, which you have clearly done, taking these tools and then using it for you to step into your leadership, which is helping other people. I absolutely, absolutely love that. You have very generously offered to do a clearing with us today to demonstrate. And
Yeah.
so I would love to. I volunteer as tribute. I would be happy to be your guinea pig if you would like. And then, of course, everybody, I love how energy healing works. Everybody who is watching, you are welcome to open up and receive this as well because I found it fascinating and it resonated so much as truth where if you take the belief and you remove the emotion of it.
Mhm.
It's like nobody likes me because I'm sick. Well, okay. You know, all of a sudden there's no power in that belief anymore. It's like, okay, because I don't have any emotions attached. So I love this idea of what you're doing, and I would love for you to do a demonstration with me that everyone here can receive.
Perfect. Thank you for volunteering as tribute because I'm going to ask you a couple questions so we can find with SRT, everybody who is watching, the technique is a breathing technique. You can do the exact same breathing technique, and your subconscious will clear this belief that we pull up, even if I'm not the one asking you questions. You can still clear it. So I'm going to ask you some questions, Shelli.
Okay.
But first, in my presentation, one of the chakra centers, I bring up an Aristotle quote. And so I want to bring that up with you and then find beliefs that are sabotaging you around this quote. And
Okay.
the quote is, "He who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander." What does that mean to you?
Okay. Yeah. My religious trauma is not happy with that. It's
Obey.
bringing up strict obedience, complete obedience, slavish obedience. It's bringing up obedience to arbitrary rules,
Obey.
external forces. That's
Okay.
interesting. Yeah, that brought up a lot for me.
And so we're going to actually just clear the word obey.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, let's. Ah, that's making me feel a little emotional. Oh,
Yeah.
fascinating. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
So, the premise before I jump into clearing that word, this quote, "He who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander," is the simpler phrase, which I've always said, was a good leader knows how to follow.
Yeah.
And Aristotle just takes it to a greater depth, and he uses that term obey. And I would love to clear that emotion connected to that term because is it obedience? Would that be a better word for you to clear? Obey or obedience?
Obey feels like a command, and I'm Aquarius, okay?
We're going to
Uh,
clear obey.
So there's a little bit of that rebellious energy, like, don't tell me to obey. If you tell me to obey, I am not going to obey. I'm going to do the opposite of it because, we rebel.
Yes,
So it is around, I mean, obedience is the outcome, but obey feels like the command of it, the forceful, it feels forceful and controlling is what it
yes,
feels like.
yes. And so clearing this, just this one word, will actually allow you to act more calm and in the present moment when you hear it in the future instead of those flashbacks.
Yeah.
It's not meant to, well, in religion, it is meant to suppress, but the word itself is not meant to suppress when we don't have those emotions attached to it.
Okay.
And so let's go ahead and the SRT is a breathing technique. And so for everyone watching, when you're doing it, you're going to breathe in and hold your breath. I will say a statement, which is I release all, anger with obey. And then you breathe it out. And I will follow you, Shelli, with your breath. I'm not going to tell you when to breathe out. I'm going to watch you. So I see that you're breathing out.
Okay.
And then I will do the next emotion connected to it. I have a list of all the emotions and I go through it and we just clear what comes up. And so go ahead and breathe in and hold your breath. I release all anger with obey.
I did not want to let that go.
There's more connected to it, and we're going to go through all of these emotions. We're actually going to start over here. Breathe in and hold. I release all stubbornness with obey. Breathe
That
in and
made me
yeah.
chuckle. Like,
We'll get through this, and by the end, you'll be like, oh, I can release this.
Okay.
Breathe in and hold. I release all resistance with obey. Yeah. Breathe in and hold. I release all rage with obey. Breathe in and hold. I release all resentment with obey. You're doing good.
Thank you.
We go through. Breathe in and hold. I release all bitterness with obey. Breathe in and hold. I release all contempt with obey. Breathe in and hold. I release all evil with obey. And we may need to clear the word evil, but we're going to disconnect this word from evil. Breathe in and hold. I release all frustration with obey. Breathe in and hold. I release all judgment with obey. Yeah. Breathe in and hold. I release all punishment with obey. Breathe in and hold. I release all rigidness with obey. Breathe in and hold. I release all shame with obey. Breathe in and hold. I release all hurt with obey. Breathe in and hold. And release all pain with obey. Breathe in and hold. And release all disappointment with obey. And breathe in and hold. And release all sorrow with obey. Breathe in and hold. And release all blocks with hope with obey. Breathe in and hold. And release all blocks with safe with obey. We may need to clear some other beliefs connected to that safe if it's not wanting to go. It's okay.
I think I'll hold my breath till I pass out on that one. It was not coming.
With religious wounds, there's usually more than one belief when we really dive into it. Let's do one more, see if this helps. Breathe in and hold. And release all blocks with forgiveness, with obey. Forgiveness isn't about them.
I feel like forgiveness for me would require its own session as well. I definitely saw that's a trigger word for me as well.
Nice. And so this is, I would love to help you really work through this wound, this religious wound, not so that religion becomes a part of your life, but that you don't get those triggers when these words come up. And that you're free to be who you are here to be without those silly little, which they're not silly, triggers.
Right, right.
And then I like to replace what we release. And so I want you to help me come up with the replacement. It's usually just a phrase. So I have one such as, it could be, see myself feeling calm and comfortable when I hear the word obey.
Right.
Does that feel like something you feel comfortable with replacing right now, or would you like to look at a different phrase?
I think what's coming up for me is I am at peace with the word obey.
See myself feeling peaceful with the word obey, or at peace with the word obey.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you can breathe through this. I'm going to read a statement out loud. I just need you to repeat it as I read it. We're going to do it 3 times, and we're going to replace it with see myself at peace with the word obey.
Okay.
So breathe in and out. I replace these old thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, images, and energy with new supporting thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, images, and energy. I think, feel, believe, allow, and see myself feeling at peace with the word obey. I think, feel, believe, allow, and see myself feeling at peace with the word obey in my world. I think, feel, believe, allow, and see myself feeling at peace with the word obey in my future. Okay. You did so good. That one was not easy. And I'm so proud of you. Thank you for letting me help guide you through that.
Yeah, that was powerful and eye-opening. Very, very eye-opening. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes.
And so
Yeah, I'm still not that far removed from
there's
from the experience, but yeah, that was very, very helpful, I feel, in helping me to address. All right. And everyone else, let us know in the comments, how was your experience with that? I could feel your love and support as I was working through that. I know that there are others in my audience who have similar emotions that come up around this as well. So I hope that that was something that was very healing to you also. So I know, Aubrey, you're not going to be teaching SRT or emotion code in your presentation, but you are going to go deeper into the chakra system and astrology and Saturn. And so I want to invite everybody watching, please do come to the New Earth Ascension Summit 2025, Embodied Leadership for the Galactic Age. Aubrey will be speaking. Her presentation will be on Wednesday, May 7th. You don't want to miss that. You want to definitely learn how to dive into this for yourself to amplify your personal leadership. Tickets are free. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you at the summit. Bye, everyone.